Live from the internet, this is the Crystal Chronicles, your number one stop for all things Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. This is episode 69, recorded on September 19th, 2019, and that is the first time we did the introduction, all of you listening in podcast land. I am your host, Mark, and I am joined by my co-hosts. First, the incomparable MIno Spellgood. How you doing, MIno?
Not bad, Mark. Thank you. Tired after as usual, but in much better spirits, I think, because traffic wasn't terrible today. It only took me 40 minutes instead of the usual hour, so I'll call that a win.
Very good. I am also joined by the incorrigible Kreese, aka Zarink. How you doing, Kreese?
I do not have to deal with that long commute, so I am very happy.
No commute. I was on the road for a good 4.5 hours today, so I hear you. I know how that is. Not always a good time, but it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do. Well, I want to welcome everyone who is joining us on Twitch. A lot of familiar faces. Remember, this is September, so Twitch subs are half price thanks to the partnership with Subway. Also, if you are a Amazon Prime member, you do get a free sub. So if you're listening later or you're live on Twitch, do give us a sub. That does help our work on the podcast and offset some costs. And if we get enough subs here this week, we're going to get some more emotes. So we already got one emote in the bag and some badges thanks to Jin Lee. Thank you, Jin Lee, for all our backgrounds and our badges and our first, hopefully, emote specific to our channel. And I want to thank you all who are joining later on Twitch, on YouTube, or listening to us as a podcast. And we know there are new people listening to us each week. And so welcome to the Crystal Chronicles. We've been doing this for a while, but we want to be your place for all things Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. You want to learn more about us, join us on tccpodcast.com. There you can find all of our links to social media as well as our Discord, where we are a lot of the time. So let's get into the bulk of our conversation and the news of the day. There was maintenance, scheduled maintenance, which was the Square Enix bridge maintenance, but that led to emergency maintenance because when we were expecting to be done with the regular maintenance, we all had to jump on and see if we could play the game. And it wasn't working. So they had to do, is from what I hear, emergency maintenance. And that emergency maintenance did take some time. So we were greeted with 300 gems and 2 relics of all knowledge as an apology. So thank you, Square Enix. We always appreciate apology gems and apology items.
I was going to say, I feel like it's worth mentioning because I still see to this day, even our veterans talking about it. Bridge maintenance, guys, is just server maintenance for all of their gacha games. It's not to add anything. Every time I still see people, even in our Discord, saying, what did the bridge maintenance add? Nothing. Then what was it for? And it's just regular maintenance for all of their games. So don't expect actual updates for that. Though they do usually add or take away the ×2 cycle reward during those, right?
No, they have separate maintenances for that.
Okay. So then, yeah, I don't know why game's over a year and a half old now. And I think people still expecting bridge maintenance. Oh, but also...
Yeah, bridge maintenance does nothing to the game client or anything.
Right. And I wanted to bring up that I realized we get all relics of all knowledge every time they mess up, and I haven't used any, so I can basically use my relic count as like the number of times we've got Apologem Square Enix at this point.
Oh, that's funny.
We've gotten some for purposes outside of Apologems.
We have. Yeah, I don't need. Yeah, I got relic. Did we get relics of all? Yeah, we got relics because artifacts are the big ones.
Yeah,
I got a few of those. Also, a little news on the in-game updates. A warning to those who want to jump into iOS 13 or iPadOS. the beta versions of those two operating systems for Apple devices. Make sure that you wait until you get a kind of notice that those work with the new model of the game or the latest update of the game. So again, we've said this before, generally those kind of updates you kind of have to seek out. So if you're not someone who's seeking out the latest like beta version of operating systems, I'm sure some of you are, you don't have to worry about it. But if you do like to do that, the game may not operate correctly. So be careful if that is something you are concerned with. We also got a notice that as of the next maintenance, which I believe is the 24th of September, the World of Illusions Radiant Artifact quests, black, yellow, and white, that's one, red, blue, and green, that's the other, they will be discontinued after the next maintenance late September, and they will be replaced with the new World of Illusion Radiant Artifact quest, which is just a token generating quest that you can use at a shop to get whichever artifacts you desire. So that's going to be a new way to get specific artifacts for specific characters, especially characters who may not be tied to an event that you'd like to still grind artifacts for. So we are looking forward to that quality of life update. Although it's certainly not a fix for anything, it's still going to take a lot of time to grind those artifacts. But
just note that the major reason worth announcing this change is coming is so that you have an opportunity, if you have not done so for whatever reason, to go into those World of Illusions and complete them. Just do each stage once to get all the gem rewards so you have them, because those gem rewards are technically going away now. So make sure you do at least finish each of those stages once.
Correct. Thank you, Kreese. And you will know if you finish them because you'll have a little notice above World of Illusion. Right now I have a little 1 above mine, a red 1 in a circle, a red circle with a 1 in it in the upper right corner, because I have not finished the current World of Illusion treasure hunt for the Crystal Awakenings for the current wave. So so scroll all the way down and you'll see those two under the artifact sub-tab. Radiant Artifacts, black, yellow, and white. Radiant Artifacts, blue, red, and green. Make sure you've completed them at least once, and then it's done. Jake is asking, do we know if we will still be getting the treasure hunts for every week or every event? I believe so, yes. You'll still get Idojas for those World of Illusions that are cycling, and you'll still get Idojas for co-op. This is just if you want to do Idoja farming or artifact farming in an additional way instead of just random colors and random thing. You're going to get basically tokens. How that works specifically, I don't have any other details about. It's going to be talked about in the next Square Enix stream, and I believe it is in Japan as well. So some of our Japan players might be able to share that. Unless MIno or Kreese, do you know anything more about that? What that's going to look like?
I mean, pretty much the same here. We got this quality of life pretty early. The whole gaining tokens and trading in for whatever you want. And I'm super grateful. If I farmed artifacts, I think I would use this system because, for example, there are lots of events where I don't want I don't want to touch it at all. Like
right.
Cinque's event, I don't want to farm any of their Idojas with SP.
Yeah.
And if I were someone crazy and maxed all the boards and wanted something to do with my SP every day, then yeah, I'd hit the generic AF mine, grind for people I actually want, right? I think it's a great option.
Yeah.
I can say that right now I do not grind artifacts in the World of Illusions just because the chance is too low to actually get what you want. This change will make it a lot nicer and actually make it a viable option to get the artifacts you want, I think.
Yeah, and as Marcus said, basically we're still getting all the Idojas from the treasure hunt events that follow the follow events and the co-op itself. So this is just bonus on the side.
So Amins is saying you get tokens from the level 40 World of Illusion stage with the Behemoth. 10 tokens, you get a single Idoja. So We'll see how that plays compared to other things. Eamon is saying it's more viable option than co-op because you don't spend gems to refresh your bells. Yeah, so that is a nice option. I'm sure we'll talk more about it when we get it. All right, well, moving on.
So next week.
Yeah, next week. It's coming up very soon. Yeah, we do have a mobile stream here in a few days. Good news.
It's Monday, right?
Yeah.
Is it Monday?
The
Yep.
23rd.
Next
That is so
mobile
soon.
stream is scheduled for Monday.
So soon.
Yep.
Man, you know what? I love the pacing month. I felt like I always had something.
And I'm exactly the opposite. This is the month I decided, I'm going to take it slow. I'm going to relax. And then they hit us with everything. I was just telling Mark before the stream started that I just finished Cinque's rewards from her co-op today. That's how behind I was.
I'm actually upset for the first time this new Choco board didn't have a mission for co-ops done, because I've been doing co-ops a ton. You got 2 new ones overlapping, and the previous one. Well, I mean, they were all good. So, you're farming Noctis ones on Cinque. Cinque was great, by the way. I love that Oh, but we'll get to that. And then there's this. Yeah, there's this Hell co-op, and the co-op before. I don't know. This month was a really good month. I felt like I always had something to do. I always had fresh co-ops to run. I really like that they added these pseudo dailies to the co-ops, right? Space them out for 5 days and collect rewards. Really gives me incentive to not just bum rush it in one day and take my time.
I agree. And we definitely have a lot to do right now. I haven't had time to play the game really since the stuff last night. So hopefully I'll have time to do some of this stuff tomorrow on my day off. So that does bring us to the event that we had earlier in the week, which is called Sincere Strength. And this introduced a new character called Cinque from a game called Final Fantasy Type O, or Type 0. They refer to it as Type 0, right? Anyway.
Yes, Type 0, yeah.
Yeah. Type 0 is a game that I've not played. Anyway, Cinque is a new character. So which one of you gentlemen is going to talk about Cinque?
I'm going to talk about her, but I did not pull for her. I just want to make that clear. I don't think any of us on the stream pulled for her, actually.
Not even 13 tickets. Sorry.
I did 13 tickets out of pure boredom.
I used event tickets out of pure boredom because I
Yeah.
figured all the 35 CPs, none of them would be just garbage, would be thrown away. They wouldn't be automatic power stones. I got no 35 CPs out of the 55, 60 tickets we got, so it wasn't worth it.
I don't know if this is better or worse, but so I had her 2 partners MLB'd, but none of Cinque's weapons. I threw like 20 something tickets. Again, out of boredom. I was like, oh, I'll I get the first gold. And it was like a Yuna 15 off banner. And I was like, all right, that doesn't count. I'll do another gold. And then I got like a Fujin 15 off banner. And then I was like, all right, it wasn't meant to be. But at least the Fujin was something I could use.
Whew.
Okay.
Yeah, so
let me do a quick, just so you guys know, if you have not heard us mention it before, we're going to be doing something a little different with our overviews of characters this time. Instead of breaking it down piece by piece, we're instead going to go briefly through them. For Cinque, because she's a brand new character, I'll spend a little bit more time on her, but we're going to try to just hit the highlights rather than explain absolutely everything about her.
Right. From now on, the pace is going to accelerate. Eventually, we're going to... So right now, we're getting Awakens left and right. What, like 8 to 10? And then new characters in between that. And then when we eventually hit the EX Plus era in about 2 months, it's going to go even faster than that. Because at a certain point, it's 2 characters getting reworks and EX Pluses every banner. So we decided, because we have such a great support staff, and the Tonberry troop and everything, they're always making those helpful infographics and Macnul's threads. We're always linking them. If we give the broad strokes, because we have to cover so many characters in a short amount of time, and you're interested, you can go dig up the nitty-gritty details on the subreddit, in our Discord, and even here, we're going to start linking them straight on our Twitch page. So that's the format we're going to be taking forward.
all right. So take it away.
Okay, so Cinque is a damage dealer. She is a single target damage dealer who is basically what I've called a tempo character. She relies on a unique debuff called Stun, which reduces their defense and speed while it is active, and she builds up stacks of stun using all of her abilities, and once she gets to full stacks, she activates empowered versions of her abilities, which basically hit harder and can overflow up to double her max brave, so pretty strong. Downside is that she burns through the stun stack once she does that. So she builds it up, burns it, builds it up, burns it as her tempo throughout the fight. Her two abilities are both single target HP attacks. Earthquake does do AoE brave hits, however, and Home Run Swing is a single target hit. It does some brave attacks, it does brave gain. The big thing that I think Cinque is known for, however, is her very, very slow charging EX ability called Whirling Mace, which does a ton of AoE brave damage, can overflow like crazy, parties a battery, initiates a launch, and delays enemies' turns. So it's a very loaded EX. However, it charges as slow as Ishtola's. It's on a slow minus, I think.
It's
Or slow
so
minus.
it's so slow.
Is it the slowest in the game?
It's
It's
so
tied with
slow.
Ishtola, yeah.
It's. We'll make our comments after we're done. Go ahead.
And last thing that Cinque has is her additional ability, Set Stun Brave Up, which gives a target some stun stacks, gives her some brave, and if you give it the extension, it also gives her some crit rate up and crit damage up. So Cinque's whole deal is basically doing a lot of damage in small chunks of time, and then building up her stacks again. As I said, I don't have her weapon, so I have not had a lot of extensive experience with her outside of just leveling her up and getting her treasures from her summon boards. She can hit very hard. The problem is that she does not hit very hard outside of those windows where she is hitting very hard for one turn. And that's my notes for her. She does have a nice Brave Plus and HP Plus, which help, and she can gain stacks of stun from them to help with her combat longevity, but that EX ability is really slow.
Any thoughts, Mark? Have you taken a look at her?
I have. She's adorable. So that's got something. You know, sometimes she swings her mace and falls on her butt. That's fun. She does great damage. You know, she's
Outside of synergy, I haven't seen her
I don't
outside.
know, but I mean, she does good damage. I think, you know, moving forward here in Cosmos, she's going to be fine. But yeah, the EX is so loaded but so slow. Yeah, it's a tough call for Cinque. You know, I'm sure if I'm sure if you like Cinque and it's a character you like, you're going to find ways to use her. Certainly not something that any of us were thinking about, given everything else that was coming around her at this time. But she's a big hitter. If you're able to kind of manage her special debuff, the stun buff, and the damage output, then you know she's pretty good. But you know, she does have that problem where as soon as she builds up that debuff, she knocks it off and kind of has to start all over again. And yeah, that's always I don't mind characters that kind of build up and then are set, but the characters that kind of build up, hit, and then go back, build up, hit, and go back, that's another issue.
I mean, the nice thing about stun is that its effects stack with all other debuffs, and it's a lot harder for a boss to resist, or it's a lot less likely for a boss to resist unique debuffs compared to just generic ones. Exactly. So Cinque is able to stick a defense down and a speed down on targets that usually would ignore them. For example, Shiva in her summon board farming is typically immune to defense down and speed down, but Cinque can get that to stick, so it's nice. But as you said, she burns it when she uses her empowered ability, so it isn't always around.
Right. Her EX is like the most loaded in the game as of right now, right? As in it does the most in terms of buffs, debuffs, effects. Right?
I think it can hit the hardest. It causes a launch, it causes a delay. It can brave overflow to 250% of her max brave. So yeah, it's pretty
ridiculous.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous.
I mean, they threw like everything and the kitchen sink at it, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let that slide under the radar. But onto my thing is, so I apologize. Obviously, clearly, all three of us have no interest in Sync, but but I did do some preliminary research. I've done preliminary research on all these characters. This is not. I don't think any of us are offering firsthand experience, but I remember that when she dropped originally in JP, she was passed over very quickly because, as is said, in an era where EXs are becoming so important and her EX barely sees any play, it's just damning, and she's very subpar without all the buffs and damage her EX do as well. So it is rough. I don't know. I just can't think of anything she really does better than everyone else. And I think more damning is, I believe, Shara89, infamous kingpin of the global Discord. I think he installed JP just to pick up Sync because it was a favorite of his, and he was immediately disappointed very shortly, saying that, of course, it's a favorite, but actual practicality-wise, very, very underwhelming and disappointing. Oh, wait, Shara says
saying
that's
not true. Shara said earlier in chat that Sync carried him for months in JP.
Oh, okay. So Shara, so would you wait? But I thought I remember. Shara can correct me while the show goes on, but I thought I remember, Shara, that you said you were specifically going to skip Sync the second time around in GL, which people in our Discord know wasn't true because I think he pulled again. But I thought I remember. Eventually, I used her in Cosmos until I quit shortly before Ult.
So
Okay.
So a better discussion, or perhaps a new discussion moving forward, because again, none of us pulled on Sync, but Sync might interest somebody. She is, a character that people like. So Shara, as you're listening, tell us who you used with Sync, because I think that might help
Shara's already
people.
mentioned Selphie as a good pair because of the Brave Battery. It helps allow Sync to use or just deal more damage even with her lower potencies.
Yeah. So if you don't know, we're going to talk about Selphie here within the next couple weeks. Selphie gets an EX that charges other EXs faster. She also does everything that Selphie does. So Selphie is a good partner with Sync. I would assume Selphie, Sync, and then another debuffer like Pain or Sarah would be a good partner as well. Of course, Warrior of Light would be a good partner. Shara saying his third was Setzer, so also a very cool idea. So yeah, so when Setzer comes, Setzer, Selphie, Sync, those maybe are good options. At least to help you through Cosmos. I think as we looked at Chaos, we did see some Sync in early Chaos, not a lot, but if you again pair with some good characters, you're probably going to be able to do some things with her. So yeah, but
no, they're discussing strats. We'll follow up on that later about the team comp. But yeah, I don't know if you guys pulled for anyone other than
Shara. I saw a lot of people pull on Facebook and Twitter,
and you disagree with us about her being underwhelming. Feel free to speak up because again, we have no firsthand experience. I just have secondary research and seeing her in co-ops is just pretty underwhelming, to be honest.
I don't think Sync is a bad character, and I don't think any of us are saying that. We just had other interests coming right around her. Like I pulled hard for Noctis. MIno was pulling on this Awakening wave. Mark was pulling on this Awakening wave. So we had to focus our resources elsewhere.
Yeah, and then as we've said, which is pretty much becoming true, people are confirming in chat, is any character release from here on out is viable for the rest of Cosmos. All Cosmos characters are viable for Cosmos. That's just it. This is a very weird era that was supposed to have plateaued in Pain's Cosmos, and it's only as difficult or less difficult from here on out for the next 2.5 months. So this is a very it's not garbage time, but it's a free period where you can experiment a lot with get away with a lot, as I'm sure a lot of people are discovering. As we've said before, a handful of the characters from the very beginning of Cosmos carry you all the way to the end. So there's a lot of leniency. in these coming.
Yeah. Well,
And we'll touch on this soon, but Amons is saying that this heretic was the most difficult he's had in Cosmos. I think that's true. This Cosmos is actually surprisingly difficult, but we'll talk about that soon.
Oh yeah, well let's talk about that later. I have a lot to say about that. But so moving on, Cinque Cosmos. You guys want to cover that real quick?
So we had a Cosmos battle for Cinque and also a co-op for Cinque. You fight a big-looking castle thing. It has a name. I don't remember what the name was. But it's just a single boss. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, MIno. Didn't you say that this was one that caused Japan players some trouble?
Okay, so I'm going to be honest, because I did not look into this fight at all, and I used the super meta team because it was available now, and I just wanted to try it out once, which was Warrior of Light, Noctis, and Pain to take it out. And I believe I saw a lot of people, including you, Mark, a very similar team, and our boss got like 0 to 1 turn. So I have no idea what this boss does, other than be a giant HP sink. But I do. It takes consecutive turns or something. Right?
It takes 2 to 3 turns. It starts with 2 turns, and I think it can take 3 turns if you let it attack later on when it gets below 50% health. I let it take more turns than you two did, but not enough to really get a feel for what it was doing.
All I remember specifically is that this was like the beginning of like HP walls, HP sponges that started invalidating a lot of characters, like supposedly Shantoto, as in we saw a lot of big damage spikes at the beginning of Cosmos that are going to get cut off here. Although Erolai did go out of her way to prove that Shantoto worked for this one, I believe. But basically, as people are saying about this event and the Heretics, we're starting to see like bosses become much tanky.
Yeah,
so
Erolai is reminding us that this boss has a mechanic where he gets lighter, and the lighter he gets, the more chain attacks he can do. So he can chain attack to a single target, then follow up with a heavy HP attack. So if you let him get lighter and lighter and lighter, I think that's related to how much damage it takes. Then yeah, it can do a whole bunch of damage. But it's a single boss. So if you're using Noctis, if you're using Vayne, if you're using Kistis, friend, I've seen double Kistis runs for this. We do have Macnol's Call to Arms, MACNOL on Reddit, Macnol. There's lots of different runs, but there's fairly simple ways with a few of the characters we have to basically give this boss no turns. Basically because he's a single character boss, and those tend not to be as difficult as multiple bosses 2 or 3. But if you let him have turns, he can hurt you. I think that's the lesson. Don't let him have turns. Obviously,
yeah, this boss, if he gets turns, and I've seen this in the co-op plenty, he can perform HP attacks out of break. If he breaks someone and performs an HP attack, he can one-shot someone if they're not watching and they don't have enough HP, i.e. they're out of synergy. So he's dangerous. The other thing I want to note about this Cosmos is the Wave 3 boss is the Flan boss from Garnet's Lost Chapter. Just remember the mini Flans that it continuously summons, they disappear once they're broken, so you do not have to focus HP attacks into them if you're having trouble with that.
Very good. Well, yeah, I brought Noctis, who was Synergy, of course, in this event, Warrior of Light, Vayne, and Friend Kistis. Maybe the boss got 1 turn. But so it goes. Any other thoughts on Cinque? Probably not. We're so excited about the Cinque effect. On to more exciting things. We had a new wave, our second wave of level 70 awakenings. All 6 characters on the wave got level 70. Got their new additional ability because they're up to level 70. 3 of them got reworks, and 1 of them got a new EX weapon. So let's start. I have in my notes here, just so we're all on the same page, start with Zack, Faris, and 7, and then Yuna, Terra, and Ramza. So
I'll quickly touch on Zack, Faris, and 7 because they're
Thank
really
you.
brief. The only things they got were their 70 awakenings, so there is not much to say.
Please go ahead.
For
Chris.
example, yeah, Zack gets his new additional ability, which gives him a couple turns of an increase in initial brave, and a slight increase to brave overflow limit. That's it. He's still Zack. He's still pretty strong. He still has his brave barrier with his EX. I've been using him since I awoke him to 70. He's been doing great. Both Faris and 7 get debuff attack up as their additional ability, where they deal more damage. They deal more damage to targets that are afflicted with debuffs. I think Faris also gets a slight brave overflow increase if you get her extension for that additional ability, but that's pretty much it. They're still the same characters. They'll be getting reworks later on down the line.
Well, that brings us to our first reworked character, and a character who received an EX weapon, a new EX weapon, and that would be Yuna. And I'm going to be talking about Yuna because I pulled for her and she cost me 65,000 gems. So I'll tell you a little bit about Yuna. So as you look at Terra, Ramza, and Yuna's reworks in your in-game announcements, you may notice Yuna really didn't get much. Now, besides her cursed artifacts, which we'll talk about here in a second, she got an adjustment to her level 54 passive, just some more buffs. Her level 58 passive, some more buffs. And Cheer got a little bit of an upgrade. The boosts last longer, the buffs last longer, and the slight boost to Brave granted by attack, based on attack. So not a very impressive rework. Now, she did get these special artifacts, which is a blessing and a curse. The first one is Charged Asuna Boost, which is Asuna use +1 and Max Brave by 40%. The second is All Buffed Attack, which is Party Max Brave up and Attack up by 10%. So if you get Perfect Arts, that's a aura of 30-30 to Max Brave and Attack, and 120% up to her own Max Brave, which she desperately needs. And 3 more uses to Asuna, which, I'm not going to lie, she doesn't need it all. She could have 500 uses of Asuna. It's not going to matter. There was no reason for her to have more Asuna. She's never going to use Asuna. So, what makes Yuna so special now? Well, she got a new EX weapon, and the EX weapon basically changes her entire kit. Now, you start with Yuna, I think it's called Mirage Rod, but it summons Veil 4. And Veil 4 is her first summon in Final Fantasy X, the bird-looking thing, if you're not familiar with Veil 4. And it changes her entire kit. So she summons Veil 4, she gets a unique buff that goes along with that, and she gets a, I don't know what they're called, but like a new special token buff that's above her head that looks like Veil 4. So he's there for 6 turns. And then she gets a special buff that increases her stats. And it changes her Brave attack and her HP attack to 2 special attacks. The first attack does single target damage and basically batteries herself and then hits. The second attack is an AoE attack, and it can do overflow damage. They're both fairly powerful attacks. Veil 4, like we're in the Veil. Aminosa.
I hate to come in so late into this, but I wasn't reading chat, but I'm sure he corrected you.
Yes,
on Valafor, right?
Yeah, I'm not.
Did he? Oh yeah, everyone.
Like they are
looks like everyone is mad at Mark, not just one person. Okay, but I was gonna correct Mark. But I was like, nah, it's not needed. But clearly,
and Joshua's also correcting another thing. Valafor is female.
That is
you would know if you played Final Fantasy X. Maybe
she is.
Wait,
female.
I knew that. Wait, yeah, I didn't say.
I don't know who said.
I did.
I was like, I just came in. I very clearly saw the breasts on Valafor. They're very prominent.
But unless you pulled for Yuna's EX, you don't get to correct me. So, Veil 4.
Damn.
Veil 4. Yeah, I'm going to edit this out. Oh. Yuna's summon comes in, changes her kit. She's able to do 6 turns of this single target attack or this AoE attack. They're both fairly good, and that is along with her HP plus, which she's had for a while. The cool part about it is the animation. I mean, she summons the summon, so it's there on the screen. The summon attacks and then comes in every time you use either Energy Rave or Sonic Wing, whatever they're called. So it looks really cool. Is it great? No. One of the big problems is you still have to work up to summoning her. And before you summon, you basically just have to use Yuna's Cheer and Asuna or her HP plus. And so it takes you several turns to use her EX. But once you get her EX, it's going to stay up, and that's fine. That's not a problem. But you're basically wasting turns. Cheer does give some nice boosts, so you want to keep Cheer on a little bit. But, Asuna's really not doing much for you besides clearing debuffs if you need to, anything else. So I pulled for it. I like I like Yuna a lot. I think this is one of the cooler looking EX weapons. I'm going to use her. I would not necessarily suggest anyone go out chasing her. A lot of people have. I have seen a lot of people pull for Yuna's EX Mirage Rod and with the EX ability Grand Summon, because I do think it's really cool, and I think it's cool how it changes her entire kit. And I think you're going to see maybe more of that moving forward as we try to figure out how to continue to move characters forward. This is one way to have basically a complete. Eamon's is saying she's going to be great auto HP farmer. Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, I did hear that as a farmer and a trash clear AOE damage, she's pretty decent on that front. Above average now. Hits that mark again when she gets her EX plus.
The problem is that if you're using her for trash waves, you have if she's in your main party, you're probably not getting it up over the first couple waves.
Yeah.
Right. Main party, right. As assist,
it's a friend.
Not bad, yeah. But also if you're doing like AOE bosses, double to triple bosses, not terrible. I was gonna say, Mark, as a veteran record keeper, this is the first instance in DFFOO we're seeing the equivalent of, I forgot what they're called, burst
soul break.
Burst soul breaks, right, where they transform Brave and HP. Where they transform the first two to completely change and I thought we were going to see more of this, and we actually do see a couple more.
Pain's technically did that too. She gets her HP plus and her stronger Brave plus through her buff from her EX.
Right, but I'm talking about completely transform the kit like Yuna's does. And we do see a couple coming up in the future, but not as often as I thought. I thought this would be the next logical step after EXs. So we'll see where it goes. But I believe a couple characters like no, I'm just pulling this out of my ass. I wanted to say Lise gets it too, but I know some character. Oh, well, we already saw this with Paladin Cecil, right? But I was gonna say, I think. So what's your final verdict?
I didn't mention her additional ability, her AA. Basically is just a self buff that increases in Brave and attack, so that helps her a little bit. I'm not sure that you're going to use crystals right now if you already have Warrior of Light, and then there's 7 other people on white crystals coming up, Sarah included. But that does give her a little boost. Her EX plus starts her with Valifor, so she will actually begin with her summon when she gets her EX plus, so that will help her a lot. The conclusion was basically Yuna is so bad that she needs special artifacts and a EX weapon that completely changes her kit. So
I mean, yes, but also to kind of defend the developers, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say this EX came out shortly after Dissidia NT put Yuna in. So I think originally they're like, yeah, Yuna's a healer. And then she went into the fighting game, which is the source material. And all she did was summon Valifor to attack in there. So they're probably like, yeah, let's change it to be in line with the game we're based on. So but I was going to say, Yuna fans should be ecstatic, because my favorites, like Kane got a weapon that completely transformed his kit, I would not be complaining at all.
Yeah, so my final verdict is I like Yuna. She's one of my top 10 favorites. I spent 65,000 gems to get her EX weapon. I'm happy with that. I think she has one of the coolest looking EXs and summons. I think she's fun to use. I'm probably going to use her. If you like Yuna, go ahead and pull. If you're low on gems, if you're saving up for other things, you're not going to miss out by not pulling for Yuna. But I'm happy with her. I'm going to continue to use her. Hopefully, I'll be able to get her to 77 at some point when I get enough white crystals back, high crystals, so she's fully kitted out. And I'm going to start grinding for artifacts. So wish me luck for my perfect cursed artifact passives.
Quick question.
She needs it.
I know Yuna's abilities are all super fast. So
They
how
are.
many raw abilities does it take to get that EX charged for the first time?
4 or 5.
Yeah, so I'm saying, like, I know
But
it says it's not a slow charge, but because Asuna and Cheer are fast actions, it actually is a pretty damn slow charge.
So if you're
It's really
waiting,
taken 4 to 5.
Yeah, because like if you read Cheer and Asuna, they're like very quick. Like Asuna is so fast,
it can steal
she almost
turns.
gets consecutive turns for that.
Yeah, it can steal turns.
Yeah, it's just that when I've seen Yuna's in the co-op so far, it seems like they've only needed to use about maybe 3 ability uses before Valifor was up, but that
Maybe
might be because
Cheer
it's
then,
boss
right?
fights. I don't know.
Maybe Cheer because Asuna is so quick. Asuna is near instant. It's like
What I've
Wakka's Great
typically
Daring.
seen them do is they'll cheer HP plus, and Izuna, and then Valifor's ready. But like the HP plus isn't a full ability use.
No, it is not right.
Right.
Yeah. I think we'll see. I'll have to play with it a little bit. I just got her last night, and I've not used her terribly much, but I was thinking it was a little bit more than that. Yeah, the problem you come across with is Cheer and Asuna do not do HP attacks, so you're basically wasting abilities and burning Brave. Unless you do your HP plus, but if you do your HP plus, then you're not charging the EX enough. So you kind of have to weigh it against, do I want to use my Brave effectively, or do I just want to get that summon right away? And quite frankly, you probably just want to get that summon right away. So cheer Asuna, and summon and be done with it. So, but that does eat turns. Yeah.
Kreese, you want to get Terra next?
Sure. Terra has changed a little bit, not as much as Yuna has. The big thing that's happened from her original awakening is that she lost her Brave regen buff that was generic, and it's been folded into a new thing she has called Magic, which is a new icon above her character. All of her abilities give her stacks of magic, and she can have up to 9 of them. When she gets 5 stacks of magic active, she gets access to empowered versions of Meltdown and Meteor, which basically make them hit harder, and also increases their overflow in the case of Meteor.
Hold on, CSAM is saying, why was the buff not named Magicite? I actually have a section about that later, about the localization changes they made, but sit tight. We'll talk about that later. Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, the big thing now is that Terra can build up stacks of magic. She has a new Brave plus and HP plus that build up the stacks as well. And when she has 5 stacks of magic, she gets access to empowered versions of her abilities. She burns 4 stacks of magic, so she never runs out of magic, which is nice. And her additional ability gives her some immediate stacks of magic, along with giving her a max Brave boost for a couple of turns. So big thing is that she has been changed from a straight pure burst character into a pure burst character that has periods of time where she hits very, very hard. In Summon, I've seen Meteor hit the 99,999 cap. I'll note that Terra still has some problems. Her ability use count did not go up. Her EX was a very early EX. It's still on a slow recharge, and it's not particularly strong, but you're going to need to use it just to conserve abilities. Terra in long fights has to rely on her HP plus and Brave plus to build up magic, so she's only using empowered versions of Meltdown and Meteor. So she's good, but she feels problematic. She has problems with her kit.
Yeah, I think that's my experience is, again, just there's going to be some longevity issues for Terra. Again, she continues to do what she does better than she did before. And her additional ability, I don't recall if you mentioned it or not, basically gives her free stacks of magic, correct?
Correct. And the Mac, originally I was a little confused on why she gets a max Brave up with the additional ability instead of just an increase to Brave Overflow. But I see the reasoning, because since it increases her max Brave, it actually does increase the Brave Overflow limit on all of her
Oh, right.
abilities
Yeah, right.
indirectly. So she's getting a bigger bonus than she would if it was just
Yeah.
a Brave Overflow limit. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
I just had to think about it for a bit. Terra is very strong. She's still mostly a single target damage dealer. Note that Meltdown Plus will deal splash damage to other targets, and Meteor Plus is AoE Brave hits, but she's not like doing AoE damage like a character such as Rydia would do.
Yeah, Shaded Mystic is saying Terra is running out of skills in this Cosmos co-op in a lot of my parties. You can burn through her skills real fast if you're not careful. You do have to figure out how to conserve abilities, especially if you're playing in those Cosmos fights, using her Brave and her HP plus. So, and her EX weapon.
I will say that Terra is a lot of fun. I'm happy to see her.
Yeah.
And I was originally concerned about pairing her with party buffers like Ramza, but the fact that her Brave regen no longer takes up a buff slot since it's slotted into the magic stat means she doesn't occupy as many buff slots as she used to, and she plays with some party buffers than she did before. Not perfect, because she still gives herself a generic max Brave up and attack up, but she works okay with them.
To address a few things, because I know this was talked about in the Discord for a while this week, is that I believe Terra has always been a burst DPS character similar to Vaughn. People are very surprised how quickly she ran out of steam right now, and as Kreese said, a lot of it is building up to do big damage, building again. Rick said he hated, but basically it's all about that stack management and then how to use it. And then people were saying, wow, she has less skill uses than most people. And it seems like you're really just going for burst windows. And they were surprised. But honestly, she's always been this type of character. It's just fights never lasted long enough to notice it.
When she was top of the meta at the beginning of the 60s era, she burned down bosses so fast she never had to worry about her abilities running out. As long as I think near the end of her relevance, if you did not have her EX weapon, she burned out before the boss would end. But if you had her EX ability, you were typically fine.
Right. And Tundra's saying, learn to conserve. You'll need to do so in Chaos. Yeah, like, as we'll mention in a sec, and we mentioned before the show, Kreese and I, is that all the characters are getting longevity. Brave pluses, HP pluses, the pad out kits, because the fights are getting longer. But Terra's Brave plus and HP plus lackluster. There's so many other characters with much stronger Brave plus HP pluses to buy time. Pain does so much on her Brave and HP pluses, more than Terra does, that it's disgusting. Or Noctis, or Warrior of Light, or Ramza. Like, a lot of these people, their Brave plus HP pluses are legit abilities. Like, they do that much damage. 150 potency with overflow and a battery on top of that. Terra's is very, very weak in comparison. It almost feels like you're wasting. I will say that I've played with some Terras in the co-op already, and when they HP plus, when they don't have their empowered abilities up, they're doing about 10 to 15k damage a turn. Whereas if you're playing like Pain or Ramza, you're doing 30 to 40k damage a turn when you're using your HP pluses. So, like, it's very noticeable. It's not about conserving abilities. It's just that when she's not bursting, she is performing under par, and it's pretty terrible. But I think she can work in burst situations. I just really do not like that she needs to be built back up. Every single
5DPZ is saying if you have 9 stacks of magic, she is sustaining with 20,000 plus in Brave regen a turn. So, she is, if you keep her up at that level and conservability uses, she is regenning a considerable amount of Brave every turn.
So basically, if you want to spam the HP pluses and not use her abilities that eat up the stacks.
Well, right, but that's a way to conserve them. So
yeah, that's
you're
true.
doing you're doing several turns of HP plus, then you do a big ability, then you build it back up. You know, that would be a way to use her in. You know, I agree with you. You know, compared to characters like Noctis, although Noctis isn't magic, right? He's ranged. Right. Compared to characters like Noctis, who has a just literal third ability with his HP plus. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But not everybody's got that. So, you know, Terra's certainly performing better than Faris and 7 right now.
Oh, yeah. But to play devil's advocate on that 5D is that that means Terra is more of a solo character, to be honest, because first of all, if she's regenning that much on her own, that means she is leaking so much when she decides to use her ability. Like, it's almost not worth using her abilities because you're just going to lose so much potential damage, which I've seen time and time again. She leaks like crazy when you do Empowered Meteor or something. And even worse is if you run her with batteries, then she's always at max Brave anyways. And, you know, like, it's rough. You could just put any other character with a high max Brave in there. You really don't need Terra. I believe Kreese said earlier that Terra looks to be one of those characters who's going to be replaced immediately by the next wave of DPSs who start doing more. Because, you know, every month the next DPS is going to have higher max Brave and more attack than ones that came before.
Yeah, I still stand by that statement. Terra is really strong right now. As I said, she can easily cap in summon, and if you have the right setups with max Brave boosts outside summon, she can get very close too. But she's limited. She just can't hit a hard often enough, and she's reliant on either very strong supports backing her up or just burning out pretty fast.
Hate 13 says Terra's Meteor Plus may as well be an advert for adult diapers because she leaks so much.
And that's even with 180% Brave overflow. Yep. It's just crazy how much she. That might be more a statement of how much damage she does.
She does.
Because I don't know how else they could deal with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
all right. Are we done on Terra?
Yeah. Let's talk about Ramza. So.
Okay, Ramza, I guess, is my assignment. So I had some mixed feelings with Ramza, but I played it out a lot. Ramza's supposed to be the best pick of this wave. Kreese gives his personal thumbs up for Ramza, saying he's a clear winner of this wave. And we know that Ramza actually carries a bit of early chaos from JP experience. And did he get a lot added? So basically, each of his abilities now give a stackable buff, and while the stacks don't actually improve buff potency, it improves his Brave plus and his HP plus. So Shout and Galvanize can give you up to 3 stacks of their unique buff, and each stack adds an extra plus onto his abilities. 2 stacks out, you have a HP plus. You're at 3, you have HP plus plus plus. So this is pretty interesting because it means that if you're just using him purely for buffing purposes, you really don't need to get those. You're in no rush to get those stacks up. The buffs last 9 turns, so theoretically he can keep your team buffed for how many uses does he have? 6?
5 each.
5.
But
5
each.
Okay, so 40. One. Yeah, 8 turns. I thought it was 9. Okay.
It might be 9. I don't remember off the top of my head.
So 40 to 45 turns of keeping your party buffed significantly, which is a pretty big deal. And it's a loaded buff, too. You've got, attack, max Brave, I Brave up in there somewhere, Brave regen. There's even some HP regen, right, Kreese? Or am I...
No, he has no HP
Okay, good.
regen.
Thanks. I need you here, because it's an hour in, getting beyond the little tipsy. So, So the brilliant thing about Ramza is once he hits stack 3 of Shout, I believe, and he gets his HP plus, it becomes a battery for 100. It gives him 100% of his attack in Brave. Then it does a hefty 140% potency attack with overflow, and it doesn't count for turns. It's not a free turn. It's not a well, it's a free turn. It's not a consecutive turn. Like, he doesn't get to go over and over again like Vayne and Noctis, but it does not increase turn count. It is hefty. From a 10k base, he's hitting for like 35 to 40k if you have him properly built. So he could be hitting that every turn with his regen for 9 turns before he has to refresh again. So he's basically, once you get him built up, he's just churning out free turns. You know, his buffs are great. His brave regen is great. Like, that's his big thing. When enemy stats start power creeping to the point that Noctis and Warrior of Light are doing 1 damage, you've got Ramza over here throwing out free attacks and having a bunch of brave regen and everything. And the thing is, his EX really holds up too, by huge battery, thanks to his increased max brave, and the unique debuff is as valuable as ever. So in theory, he has a loaded kit and is probably the best investment of this wave. So in practice, first of all, I think he is built for long fights, as is the theme of this wave. Like, everyone in this wave, Kreese and I were talking about, they're all ramp-up characters. Ramza needs to get 3 stacks of his buffs, which means casting each of his abilities 3 times before he's at full strength. Terra has to watch her stacks, has to hit 5 magic stacks before she's at full strength. Zack needs to have the enemy focus him. Faris theoretically needs the debuffs applied and water dance to increase the susceptibility to debuffs. And then you've got Yuna, who needs to build up her EX before she starts to get going. And who's the last character I'm
7 has her snake bite debuff.
Yes, right. Just like Zack, where every time she has to apply to a new target before she gets ramped up again, and hitting basically. So this whole wave is ramp up characters. I think anyone who's been using full synergy, Heretics and co-ops have been noticing, and I think the co-ops and Heretics are actually built for this. If you've done the Cosmos fight, it's a pretty harmless armor in the beginning. Then it goes into the respawning wolves that if you don't kill enough, keep respawning their ads. And then it goes into Dark Bahamut, who nukes the hell out of your party if you take too long. So I think it's very deliberate. These are all ramp-up characters. You're supposed to take time to build them up as you go through the waves. Going forward with the harder Cosmos fights and eventually Chaos, fights start becoming a marathon rather than a sprint. And I've seen this a lot in our Discord saying, oh, I saw it on the Reddit. So, you can see it. It's on the top page right now. Oh, Zack and Terra here are doing 99999 damage, but Dark Bahamut still kills me. And it's because, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm so used to just spamming skills until the boss is dead. But now you actually need to bring healers and defensive tanks because they're actually hitting back. You can't prevent. You're going to get hit. I'm pretty sure you need either a healer or Warrior of Light to get through this Cosmos unscathed. And as the meta starts leaning towards longevity, these characters, the second wave of 70 Awakenings is starting to lean hard into this and kind of show you this. And so on that note, when I'm using Ramza, he is not effective in these early waves or track waves. I feel like I'm throwing away these early turns because he's not a brave dump effective, because Galvanize, his second skill, doesn't dump any brave. It's basically just a setup skill. Shout will dump,
I thought they both dumped now.
No, Galvanize does not dump still.
Oh,
does
really?
not.
Oh, okay.
Galvanize does not dump, so it's just a setup. Shout dumps, but it's a multiplier. So you need a hefty amount of brave for it to even do something. In the beginning, until you get all the stacks up, it's not even going to kill Trash Mob on EX or Cosmos difficult. So really, Ramza's even though he gets free turns eventually, sometimes it's just him sitting between you and getting hit by the enemy. And you're going to get hit by the enemy. He has no natural brave shape in the beginning until he gets all the stacks up. So really, you're carrying him until he can get 6 turns and get his 3 stacks up of each ability. And that's only if you're going for the rush strategy. For the longer fights, you kind of want to pad that out. So you're carrying him until the final wave, basically, until he's ramped up at full speed and going crazy. And he's amazing at that, an amazing battery too. But just that, I always felt it's very valuable to have an amazing trash clearer on the team. I feel like people like Squall, Renoa, and Twins have been incredibly valuable for the last couple of months because of this. And there's a lot of difficult fights. You're like, where can I shave turns off? Oh, the trash wave. If you bring like Twins' friend or a Squall, clear all the trash waves in one turn, and focus on the boss for the rest, it significantly helps your score. So I think Ramza is a very, very, very strong character, but not a universal fit like Warrior of Light or Noctis. You kind of have to build around Ramza. You want people to take advantage of his Brave regen, his Eye Brave, his buffs all around, and you need someone who can cover his Brave Shave and his lack of AoE. Like, you need to specialize pretty hard with Ramza. But I think he is amazing. But after we've just gotten these universal powerhouses like Noctis and Warrior of Light and Vayne, who you can just put anywhere and they'll be fine, I think we're starting to get to the point where you need to do a little bit of thinking before you start constructing your teams going forward. So I do think Ramza's a 10 out of 10 character, but I don't recommend him for every, as I would like Noctis and Pain, where you press buttons and win. I think Ramza takes a little more thought than that. Do you guys have anything to add on to that?
Well, I think it's...
No, I think I'm mostly in agreement. Ramza is I still agree, or I still stand by my statement that Ramza is definitely the winner of this Awakening wave. He makes out the best. He comes back in a strong way, and he's probably going to be relevant for a very long time. He does a lot with his kit now, and it's just that he does have that ramp-up time that you have to worry about. He's not going to fit with everyone, so you have to be careful about that. He's still amazing, but just not a perfect character.
There's a lot of debate about Twins. I still use Twins to this day. In fact, I regret not pulling on Twins EX. At the very least, they're 35. Because going through all these lost chapters and chapters,
yep,
if I had them built up, they could be one-shotting trash. And a ton of trash.
During the normal modes for lost chapters and story chapters, I just have a Twins Rydia Lilithset team set up where Twins blow up the party or blow up the enemy, and if for some reason the Twins don't, Rydia will finish them off.
I use Twins, Furion, and Selphie for the buffs. So, yep, they.
But yeah, dude, I wanted to say, if we ever came up with a host discussion about our most recent regrets, my biggest regret recently is not maxing Twins. They've given me far more use than a lot of other supposedly meta characters, for sure.
Well,
I think I've used Twins far more than Cloud.
Amazing in all fights,
right?
But they're hugely relevant in trash fights.
Right, exactly. And like, you don't always want to build for the meta. Like, you want an all-around roster, right? And Twins are king at clearing out trash nodes, which are like, what, 80% of the game? Let's be honest. And I've used twin fights on a lot of Cosmos. I mean, twin friends on a lot of Cosmos.
Well,
like
I think after your previous discussion about Ramza, I'm now convinced that Yuna's the winner of this Awakening wave because she potentially has unlimited ability uses, since she gets six ability uses every time she uses her EX. So
that's true.
Her longevity is infinite, is all I'm going to say.
But she's in a really weird position now. She's kind of a jack of all trades in that she can do damage, she can Brave Battery, she can heal, she can provide some party buffs and auras, but they're not the best at... None of those are the best that are available from any given character.
She's such a weird character.
I mean, she fits in... Okay, look, there's a lot of fights with a lot of debuffs, even in this Heretics, right? Like the... Poison Dragon, Marlboros, or whatever.
If you don't want to use Lena, go ahead.
I mean, usually you'll default to Lena, right? Yeah. But with Yuna, you can clear the debuffs and get a pretty decent AoE attacker. So can't
Yeah,
fault
but I
that.
will still stand by proactive
Yeah.
response to debuffs is better than reactive.
Yeah, especially because debuffs knock off buffs. So, yeah, it is better to prevent the debuffs than to just assume them off. But it
Yeah.
is what it is. You'll make it work.
Economics here says her ramp up is brutal. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
agree.
is.
Probably
It
worse
is.
than Ramza. Ramza can do some stuff while he's ramping
Yeah,
up,
like,
but
well,
Yuna, yeah,
it would be much better if she had HP attacks after her abilities, but so it goes.
At least she's partying the bat or
Yeah, no,
batterying the
she is
party. Sorry.
battering, yep, and healing and buffing and all that kind of stuff. We did get some heretic events with this new wave of awakenings. We had Catalyst, Rising, and Pitch encountering the Dark Dungeon. So 3 different levels of heretics. Remember, heretics are all non-synergy except for these 6 awakening characters. They are synergy. So you can use them as many times as you want on each of the missions. If you don't use the synergy characters, the characters that you do use are locked out, and you have to get perfect, which is complete all the score requirements and mission requirements on each of the previous levels to unlock the final level. And yeah, so and then you fight the Dark Dragons. There you go. And so it starts with a level 30 quests, and it goes to level 60 quests, and finally the pitch is the level 90 quest with the Cosmos co-op and the Cosmos fight. So you guys, I have not had time to do all these. I did do the co-op once with Hate 13, and I apologize him as someone came to my door, and so I had to pause for a second, but we did beat it, thankfully, with Yuna, Zack, and who else was in that? Who was Hate playing? He was playing Terra. So Terra, Yuna, and Zack. So have you guys done this? Have you done the Cosmos, or do you want to talk about what
I've
you're
taken one
seeing?
stab at the Cosmos,
Yeah.
and I did not get complete because I missed the HP requirement, though I did hit score in the process. So I can talk a little bit about it.
So yeah, talk about
did
this Cosmos
did you
fight.
did you complete it, Mark?
I have not had time to do this event. No,
Okay. Um, did you do the co-ops yet,
I
Kreese?
did. I did the co-op.
I have not done the Cosmos co-op, no.
Okay,
I
so
have done the Cosmos co-op. Excuse
all right,
me.
Kreese. So you can cover the Cosmos for us.
Okay, so the Cosmos event is 3 waves. The first wave is an armor, the Cavalier. The second wave is the Commander Beast, and the third wave is Dark Bahamut. Oh boy, Dark Bahamut is not fun. Anyways, basic breakdown is all these guys are HP sponges. What I found is that the Cavalier doesn't really get anything done before you kill it in most cases because it takes a turn set up and then it dies or it starts to hurt a lot. So you have those 2 choices. Either kill it first or it starts to hurt. Second wave is another ramp up one. The Commander Beast spends a turn buffing the party or its allies and itself before it starts dealing damage, and the beasts don't really do anything unless they're buffed, so if you kill them fast, you're okay. And then you can focus on the Commander Beast. Hopefully you can kill it before it summons new friends. And then you have Dark Bahamut, who opens with Mega Flare if you let him take a turn. He'll also heal himself with Cure, which heals about a third of his max HP if he ever casts it. The big problem with Dark Bahamut is that you cannot summon unless you can kill him during the summon, because when summon ends, he will counter with Mega Flare and then a Cure, which I made a mistake, tried to finish him off during a summon, and I just missed killing him, so he restored a third of his HP, and I had to do it all over again. And that's probably going to be the biggest hurdle is Dark Bahamut, especially after 2 nastier early waves, having to deal with Bahamut, who can heal himself, deals AoE HP damage that is unavoidable, and is just generally a nuisance. The big thing is that I actually was doing enough damage to him fast enough that I hit the HP threshold where he just went back to doing another Mega Flare. I never saw him do anything other than Cure and Mega Flare throughout the whole fight.
Right.
So he's pretty nasty, and I think he's going to be the hurdle that a lot of people have to get over. He is a single target boss, so if you bring someone like Vayne or you bring a Quistis friend, you can delay that Mega Flare for a long time. but unless you can kill him before the first Mega Flare, you are likely not going to hit the HP requirement unless you bring a healer with you.
So there's a lot of chatter in our chat right now, and I know earlier in Discord about this being a difficult fight. I was very privileged this wave, so I didn't see it. So I might be a bit out of touch, and I haven't been chatting as much this week because I've been busy. But this wave was stacked for me. I invested heavily in Zack. I pulled for Ramza and got him. I already had Terra built, being a longtime player. If you're a day one player, Terra's been meta a couple times now. So I'm sure people have invested in her if they've been playing for a long time. So I think I went with Zack, Ramza, Lena. I did Terra first time, and I didn't meet the HP requirement. So I brought in a healer with Lena. I'm seeing a lot of options in chat, and that's good. People are saying Kefka friend to neutralize Bahamut. People are saying Warrior of Light with his shields.
Even an Agrius friend might work for the silence effect.
Yeah, they're saying Setzer. They're saying there's a lot of options. It looks so it can't be that terrible. But for me, my first instinct was bring a healer. I should have brought. That's smart. Bringing a Kefka, neutralizing. First, that's a lot. But I mean, I had all the synergy characters fully built, ready to go. I didn't have Terra EX, but that's garbage anyways. So I blew through this one pretty fast, and I know that people are saying the turn requirement is really strict. Our own Erole is saying that this fight practically needs some character that has free turns in some capacity. And I did have an MLB Ramza with a bunch of free turns. That is true. But we've also been getting a ton of characters with free turns in Alize and Vayne. And there's more as well, right? Or are those the only two in the last month?
I think those are the big free turn characters, yeah.
Right. So I'm saying...
Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking of something else.
Okay. So I'm saying... I mean, in typical, top content for this game tradition, if you haven't pulled in the last month and a half, of course you're going to struggle. Yeah, I do think there is an imposing requirement on having a free character, but I do feel like we were given at least 3 in the last month, with 1 available now.
Oh yeah, someone's reminding us Lightning came out in the last.
Oh yeah,
Lightning Inject.
Yeah, so Lightning Inject as well. Yeah, you're right. And doesn't Tidus have free turns as well? Time traveling Tidus?
Yeah, he can, but he doesn't dump Brave on those free turns.
Okay. But I'm saying we've had 3, 4, or 5 now in the last month and a half. So I feel like it is a punishing requirement, but also if you want to be clearing all the top content and you haven't pulled in the last month and a half or 2 months, that I don't know. I can't justify it. I can't have too much pity. I feel like if you're struggling by passing in all these characters that have been coming up, because we've had a lot of free turns. You only need 1. I think with Ramza, I scraped by 5 to 6 free turns, and I'm sure you can get that with any of the free turns. To be honest, overall, because Ramza didn't get his free turns until late in the Dark Bahamut. He got his stacks for me. And I was able to get a clear in 72 turns out of 80. So I'm saying I do want to hear from you guys. I went through this really privileged. It took me 1 try to beat it with Terra. Didn't make the HP requirement. Did it again with Lena replacement. Got it. No problem. And then put the game down. But I know a lot of people don't have as stacked of a roster. So I really do want to know how difficult it is and whether it's just a free turn or what's making it so hard. But it sounds like the biggest thing is that unless you have a free turn character, you're not making turn count. And again,
I think that's exactly what it is. It's the turn requirement is pretty tight for all these bosses, which are pretty big HP sponges. Boosted makes a huge difference here. I went in with a full boosted team like you did on my first attempt, and that's the reason I missed the HP requirement. No healer, Zack, Ramza, Terra.
Yeah.
And I screwed, as I said, I still made the turn requirement with that team, even botching the summon at the end and him getting a heal off. So if you don't have free turn characters and you're not running any of the boosted characters, then you're going to run into it a lot harder, I think.
Okay, so everyone in chat, including Eamon, one of our regulars, is saying it's very restrictive to do it with no synergy, no meta. So that still raises an eyebrow for me, because the only thing that have come out since the Cosmos era have meta characters and free turn characters, like one or the other. Like, I think the only way you don't hit any of those if you didn't pull at all Cosmos came, because people were saying it's the turn requirement and the fact that he can just cure himself. Yeah, the curing himself is an artificial inflation of a DPS check, but a lot of our DPS characters meet that no problem. Vayne and Noctis and Warrior of Light and Pain, like they can out DPS that pretty easily. Even the older characters like Lightning and Jack, they all pump out enough damage. I mean, I think you'd have to. Oh, Alize. Like, I think you'd have to have not pulled in the last 2 months at all to either not have a single meta character or a character with a free turn. Like, who is? Let me know in chat who's having trouble on this fight. Is it hoarders that have been passing a lot, or have you been pulling regularly for these since Cosmos era and you still can't? Because oh, sorry, but as I read the chat, if you want to take over, it's about your experiences otherwise.
I think we pretty much covered it all for the base Cosmos fight.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of different...
challenging for some people.
I'm seeing a lot of different team comps, though, so that gives me a little bit of hope. And, of course, MIno will throw up a call to arms, and you'll be able to see all the different people and submit your videos, which will help. And then other people can look at those videos and get some other ideas. So,
oh yeah, is that's up, right? MIno's thread?
Not yet.
I don't believe the encountering the Dark Dragons Cosmos call to arms is up yet, but it should be up soon. So to echo what Mark just said, yeah, people are posting all like very varied team comps in here. Final Character says Random, one of the content creators, did a Lael Quistis Ash clear. Yeah, I've seen a few Quistis clears so far. So
yeah, so I'm saying, like, it sounds like there is a lot of options, just it restricts it to Cosmos only characters. I'll eat my words if Mac threads come out and it proves otherwise. But like, I'm hearing a lot of things. That's the problem. I'm hearing it's hard, but I'm also hearing that there's so many different characters beating this. It's just the characters who come out. The people were saying it's hard, like Eamon, like, don't use any characters that came out in the last 2 months. And it's kind of like, well, then what are you left with, honestly, at this point? Yeah, there's a Zack Cloud Sephiroth complete. Fires.
Yeah, Fires and Soul DFFO did that.
Huh? Yeah, so I'm saying, like, it sounds like there's a lot of options. Like, is the hard thing that people are trying to use non-Cosmos characters? Because
I think it's that it's not as freeform with party compositions. You have to be a little bit more thoughtful in who you are bringing and why you are bringing them to this. It's the turn count is tight enough. You just can't throw together a team and say this will get through.
I haven't seen any Yuna clears yet in Twitch, so why isn't everyone using Yuna?
MBK15 brings up a good point. He says, since this is a different type of fight than we've had in a while, as we've said when I was describing Ramza about how fights are starting to lean towards marathons over sprints now, there seems to be a first day difficulty syndrome where people are like, this is so different from what we're used to. Throwing my usual team at it isn't working. Like, yeah, of course you have to be more thoughtful about your team comp now. As this wave's shown, none of these characters are universal fits for any team. You have to build around these characters. No matter how good Ramza or Terra or Yuna may be, you have to build around them. So I think we're starting to enter a time where you actually have to really think, do these characters actually complement each other? And not just, these 3 characters are meta. So we just throw them together and clear it.
And also a couple of people have commented about this, but probably the reason we have not seen many Yuna clears yet is because cursed artifacts, not many people have had time to farm them and use her in the Cosmos fight.
Tomahawk Joe is lamenting the fact that his Cyan Hope Ragin team is not making it happen with this. So, yeah, I would send a support ticket to the devs and say unacceptable. So, Sam, I did not save the Beach Bash arts, so I was not able to throw my Yuna arts there. So. It is. I do need to grind for Yuna's arts.
Edo brings a great point. Everyone used their white crystals on Warrior of Light.
Yep.
Of course, no one saved for Yuna.
100%.
Arolai says she used hers on Porum, so we've had two white crystal characters that are really strong already.
Yep.
Two very hyped white crystal characters. Yeah. So Yuna is obviously on the back.
But Yuna, obviously the extra stats would help, but she doesn't need her additional ability. Particularly, but it would be nice to have enough crystals to use them on everybody. The Cosmos fight is the same setup. You fight the armor, you fight the dogs, and you
mean the co-op.
You mean the co-op?
Yes, the co-op fight is the Cosmos co-op is the same. You fight the armor, the dogs, and Bahamut. It takes a while. But you do get tons of artifacts for finishing it up, so it's great for artifact farming. And there's a token shop.
One thing
with all
I
kinds
will
of things.
note about the co-op that I've seen around the subreddit and in the Discord today is that even though it says Dark Bahamut should counter
he does not.
summons the way he does not counter them in the co-op, so you're safe to summon. So when you get to Bahamut, you can just summon Chain with your two allies.
Yes, he does not. I was going to say that. He does not counter in summon, which is very, very nice. So you can just bring it in. But they do have tons of HP, and you know, who knows, if you're not going in with people who have decent characters, you might be in for a treat. So I brought Yuna.
Another thing I will note about the Cosmos co-op is that you actually cannot even join the Cosmos co-op unless someone invites you, number one, or number two, you complete the clear the Cosmos event yourself.
Yes.
Was
that
the same with
filter out
Raid?
a lot of players. It was the same with the Raid.
That is correct.
Okay, but I'm saying, so I mean, if you at least know somebody, if you're on the Discord or you have friends and you can't clear the Cosmos, you can at least get credit for all the tokens. Yeah, so I mean that's something, but you're right, it's very restricted. That first night I barely, it was hard to find a match. And yeah, I do like this kind of sort of. I'm glad it's not like every event, but I do like that there is a Cosmos co-op again, because these are kind of fun. But to be fair, I play in pre-made most of the time. So
yeah, Strafe, who is a friend of the show and a content creator, is saying, I think the fight was tricky due to a combination of factors. Longevity and managing skills is important. Bahamut counters after summon, so the first time we had to not save it for the end. Some units required delay, healer, etc. So yeah.
Eamon says wave 2 of the co-op is an AoE check for the team.
Yes.
Well, I don't think that's true, because if you leave one wolf open, he will never replace, I believe, if it's the same AI as the wolf from Lion's event. But a lot of the time when I play with people, they insist on killing the two little wolves first for some reason, which prompts the big wolf to resummon them fast. I don't know why people do that, but if you're playing the co-op, ignore the little wolves or only leave one up, please. And then that wave won't be nearly as... what baffles me more is every co-op I've played has a Zack.
Yeah.
If you have the EX, you have the taunted, why bother killing the little wolf? It's just going to do 0 damage to you every turn. So
just remember, Yuna has a single target attack and an AoE attack, so use them both liberally for all you Yuna players. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, well, good luck. Hey, if you're having trouble with that event, with that Cosmos, if you're looking for teams for the co-op, join our Discord, the official TCC Discord. Lots of great players, lots of great content creators. Crease, MIno, and I are all there. You can go to tccpodcast.com, find the link to our Discord, look for help. Tolude's been doing a lot of great work bringing some folks from different avenues, so there's a lot of new players in our Discord, so we're happy to help them out, happy to get some stuff for them. So We are so grateful that all of you are working together to make that a great community. And thank you for all of you who do add to that community. So MIno posted a poll. I don't know if that was a joke or not, but I made it a host discussion.
Oh, I wanted to do this. I
Yeah.
forgot. I guess I never ran it by you, Mark. But I
No,
was going to
so you put a poll on Discord. So did you want to talk about what that poll was?
Yeah, so apparently we used to have a question of the week that we used to take from viewers, right, Mark?
Yeah.
And gradually that got phased out, and I was a little sad because it seemed like people wanted to participate in the podcast more. So what I was just going to do is do a simple poll on our Discord every week that would be a short host discussion. And among our content creators, we were chatting, and a very interesting topic came up with a lot of split opinions. So I asked the public in our Discord chat, what was the question? Let me pull it up really quick. It was... Okay, so apparently this question needs a lot of context. People kept asking me for more clarification. But, okay, so if you drew an EX you wanted with 70k gems on a single EX banner, would you spend the last 5k for another copy to pity that EX? And to clarify, this is on a single EX banner, not a double or triple, and it is for the current era. Because a lot of people were saying, well, in EX Plus, I want... No, so, I don't care. We're talking about right now, in the current era, a single EX banner. If you pulled the EX you were chasing, let's use Yuna EX.
So yeah, so I'm chasing Yuna EX. I do 14 multi-pulls, or I do 13 multi-pulls, 65,000 gems. I've not gotten any EX. I do the 14th multi-pull, 70,000 gems. I get the EX. Do I spend 5,000 more for the second EX and for basically 4 free power stones? Or do I just call it good and save my 5,000 gems? That is the question of the poll.
So I love how loaded this question is. Our chat's already bickering. It's full of, everyone's arguing with each other already. But basically, let me lay out this. Let me tell you the results, and let me lay out the arguments that each side has been presenting. Okay. First of all, personally, I would not. And I'll explain my reasoning in a I'll just say it now. I personally would not, because I think it was Boy Kazith on our Discord, or was it Jin Lee, who convinced me, because I said it's just 5 more K for guaranteed 5 power. So that's what I told him. Because you get the guaranteed 5-star on the multiple, so that's 1. And then you get the EX duplicate, which saves you 4 power stones, theoretically, right? So I'm like, that's 5 power stones. But they said, no, MIno, technically it's 3 power stones. Because if you stop at 70k, you already have enough of the coins to buy the 2 power stones instead of buying the pity EX.
Yeah. So
it'd be 5k for 3 power stone gain. And that's not, to me, that's not worth it. They made a great point. It's not, you're not actually gaining 5, you're gaining like 3. And so I said, if I drew it on 70k, I would probably stop right there. Mark, what is your take on it?
Well, I just spent 65,000 for a EX weapon.
and you stopped, right? Please tell me you stopped.
And I stopped at 65,000. Yeah, so...
All right, Kreese.
I think
I am in agreement with you too. I would stop and just save my gems for another banner, because that's 5,000 gems you do not have to generate elsewhere to put you towards another draw you might want in the future.
Yes, exactly. It's resources you're forwarding to later, right? Like, I would rather, as God of Cloud9 says in chat, a 5k pull can be an instant EX on another banner that you want, like a lucky pull. Like, I would rather risk that or put 5k towards the next pity than get a duplicate for some power stones. I feel like that's a very bad trade. So the three of us co-hosts are in agreement that no, we would not. But I want to run this through the percentage calculator. I'll just I should have done this earlier, so I'll just roughly estimate here. But it looks like of the 50 people who voted, 60% said they would drop the extra 5K to get that, and 40% said they would not. It was actually a lot closer than I thought it would be, and I'm actually surprised that the majority, albeit slightly, says that they would go for the extra pity if they're that close.
So
but apparently
CSAM is saying you did 14 multi-pools. You don't need power stones.
That's a really good
I will point out that Jake in chat
Yeah.
is also saying that if he somehow missed on getting 35 CP weapon on the whole pull process, he would do the extra 5k jams.
Okay,
for the
okay,
chance
so-
of that.
Okay, but that's semantics and context again. Again, I guess I have to clarify better. I guess this is such a loaded question to clarify. But I'm saying, if theoretically you were only going after the EX, like, is it like because we're not factoring the chance to get an extra weapon or another 35 or something like that. We're saying, is 5k for a guaranteed EX to LB or weapon worth? So, and like, if you're already that sunk in, to guarantee it, would you go for it? And it still seems like the majority would, although, again, in chat and in Discord earlier this week, this is a very heated debate, and people yelling at each other in chat right now. Pretty hilarious.
Yeah, well, Pittygate 2019. We've just created a rift in the community over whether you spend those last 5,000 gems or not.
So on our Discord for next week, I'll put it up. But I love that these kinds of questions that generate so much discussion among everybody. It looks like there's a lot of strong opinions on both sides.
So
Jake AW has a response for Crease. It is more common when you get the EX quicker. I've gotten an EX on pull 4 in 20k gems and done one more to try to get the 35 and round up the G token. So it looks like so they're saying, logically, if you're like one pull from your tokens paying off, especially at the lower end, because you can't really cash those in, right? Like, if you had 4 pulls and it only took 5 more to get a guaranteed Power Stone, more people would do it. Do you guys agree with that?
I have done that in the past. If I got the weapon I was looking for on the 20k pull, I would do one more just to get the G tokens and hope I got a weapon that I was missing that was also on the banner.
Yeah, it depends on the banner. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah, you're right. It does depend on the banner, but I have done it in the past. So I would say that in general, yes, it would happen. But at 70k, that's such a high investment. I just want to conserve gems at that point.
Mm-hmm. And to put a capper on this, Ragnamune is saying, when EX Plus comes around and books are a token incentive, then yes, you would pull more. But yeah, we're a ways off from that. I'm not asking for that era yet. I might revisit this question later, but we're talking about currently, would you do it? Not talking about looking at it EX Plus and whatever comes with that, but just currently, is it worth it if you're just chasing the EX? Back to you.
Someone is final character saying that he's never done the extra pull on the low end of 20k, getting what he wants and going the extra one. I have the problem of being a filthy luck sacker where I'm actually low on power stones often, and that motivates me to pull in that extra time.
I am with final character. I have no problem walking away if I'm that close, because 5k gems is a precious resource. It takes a long time to get 5k gems. I don't even think you can get 5k gems on a character event.
Yeah, just about with everything, including summon boards, including living the character, World of Illusion. It's about 5,000 gems.
Little less, right? Like just
no, I think we just had this conversation on Discord, so I think we looked it up and it's around 5,000. Yeah.
Okay, but again, that's still a lot of effort.
That's still an entire event. You make it 2 or 3 events a month. So yeah, LC's again around 5,000. So yeah, I mean that's still a
I
considerable amount of gems. I agree.
I always plan to pity. I don't plan to luck into any character, so every 5K counts. So I can walk away. Fuck powers. Dude, at one point I had over 200 powers. I am not worried about that. You're gonna hit your bad luck streak eventually, guys. Like, don't worry. You don't need to pull
Yeah,
now
the
for
problem is when
powers.
you get it on a very long good luck streak and then you don't have any power stones to actually level up or limit break the weapons you have.
Well, somebody
That
tell
sounds
me.
like a first world problem.
Somebody tell
Don't
me what
worry,
that's
I'm
like.
suffering my bad luck streak right now. We'll see how long it lasts.
Well,
I'm hitting my good luck streak, guys.
what MIno's trying to say is, if you have questions that you'd like us to discuss on the show, you can go to our Discord, and we have a channel, #podcastquestions. The intention of that channel was not for you to ask us questions during the week. You can just ask us questions whenever you want during the week, but it's to ask us questions for discussion on the show, topic of the week, etc. So if you have polls or ideas or things that you'd like us to talk about on the show, come into Discord and post your question in podcast questions. Well, gentlemen, anything else for tonight before we go through our upcoming events and say our goodbyes?
I'm good, Crease.
I think we've touched on just about everything I think we need to. Do we want to touch on what's coming up in the next week?
Yep. So looking ahead, we have Selphie LC, which introduces her new EX weapon on the 22nd. That's a Sunday night here in the United States. On the 23rd, we have the Square Enix mobile stream. And then on the 26th, we have a secret new character event, which we assume is Prompto. But hey, you never know. Maybe they're going to toss up one in surprise. But we will know for sure when the Square Enix mobile stream happens on Monday. Usually that's about 3:30 Central Time. So about 1:30 Pacific Standard Time, I believe, on Monday. So join Square
Looks
Enix,
like Cloud
Joshua.
with a gun to me.
Yeah, Square Enix, Joshua.
There's
and,
no
Glacier.
image on the new character on
Yeah,
the
no, there's
then
no
I
image.
made that up. Okay, but I do.
It just says new character.
It looks like we have a very packed episode again next week, and
We'll have a maintenance to talk about. We'll have the World
Yeah.
of Illusion change to touch on again. Once that's actually implemented, so it's going to be a big time.
Yeah, and I
also
just
Josh said that they would talk about the EX token shop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. So I just want to repeat my gratitude this month. I think it's been one of the best months in DFFOO history. I think this pacing is perfect. I felt like I had something to do every day thanks to these pseudo co-op dailies, and like every episode we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of times we just had dead episodes where like a single event drops or something like that in a week, and we had to have guests on to fill in the time. But this pace, if they keep this going, wow, like I think everyone's really happy. Every week we're getting at least 2 big things, if not 3, like we are this coming week.
And we're going to find out.
I don't think
what
we
we're
need
gonna
2 big things every week. I think we can have off weeks where it's 1 thing instead of 2 things going forward, but we'll see what they do. See how the schedule turns out.
And there might be some surprises. So we'll talk all about that next week, next Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time or 1 a.m. on Friday UTC time on live on stream, or of course you can catch us later. So if you want to get connected to us, you can go to www.tccpodcast.com. That is TCC, the Crystal Chronicles, podcast.com. Facebook at FFTCC, Twitter at FFTCC. You can search for us on Twitch at The Crystal Chronicles. You can search for us on YouTube, The Crystal Chronicles. And of course, all of those links are at tccpodcast.com. So joining us, if you would like to sub to our channel, that does help offset some of the production costs. There is some cost to doing this and getting that out to the several hundred of you, over 600 a week that listen to the show. Thank you all for joining us and listening. So that does help. So if you want to come to Twitch and give us a sub, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you get a free one every month. So come and sub, and that does help us as well. I was going to say something.
Oh,
else.
I want to
go ahead.
thank all the Oh, I just wanted to thank all the people who've already subbed,
Yes, thank
cheered
you. Yes.
already. Thank you so much for the support, guys. And like Mark said, he just ran the numbers on the last episode. It's above 600, right? Like 700, maybe even 800.
Well,
We're getting a month.
About total, we've had about total around 1,000 listeners and viewers a week. Yes.
It looks like
So.
just for last episode, what we're averaging now is, Mark put it up here. We average 69 viewers on Twitch live, 85 at our peak, and 220 unique viewers. So the 2 hours this show is on, we're getting 220 unique visitors to the stream. Very appreciative. That's a lot more than I thought, to be honest. And then we have 322 views of the recording of the stream after the fact. So people will look at the archived stream, and we have 322 viewers there. Then on our YouTube channel, we had 170 views. And then podcast downloads, we had 603 over the last 7 days. So yeah, it's hundreds and we're nearing 1,000 unique viewers a week, which is
that was just a few days after after the release of last week.
Oh right, yeah, that's not even a full week after the episode. So very I never realized we were reaching this many people, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank all of you who are listening. Thank all of you who share our information personally to other people who play the game, to Facebook communities or Reddit communities or Discord communities, or just in your conversations with people that you meet online. Thank you for all of you who have changed your name in-game to listen to TCC Podcast.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that, guys.
That's awesome. We appreciate all of you who do that. And we appreciate this whole community. It's just a great community to be part of. And so we do all thank you. So for myself, Mark, for MIno Spellgood, for Kreese, aka Serink, this has been episode 69 of the Crystal Chronicles. Until next week, we wish you all the best of luck. Goodbye.
Have better luck with your polls than I did with Noctis.
Kreese. You're okay, Kreese. Aren't you still at like 30 EX? You're fine.
Oh no, I'm just making it a joke now.
Right.
Don't have plenty of EX, I'm not worried.
Are we off the air now?
No, the credit music is rolling, so we're talking over that.
Oops. Oh well. Edit that out, Pierre. But I guess while you close the stream, I'm sure